Ugh, of course, this is Mark Hyman's mantra.
Wow, you're so arrogant, Abby. No, I'm sure this is just her act, and it's not a bad one, so let's go ahead and proceed. What is up, people watching me here today on YouTube? I am Cy Rodriguez, and today I'm going to be reviewing Dietitian Abbey Sharp reacts to Mark Hyman, MD, about what he eats in a day. And I think that this video will be valuable to you because of my commentary and the insight that it will, and understanding that it will give you. And if you think this is an arrogant thing to say, then please continue watching this video and comment below to let me know if you still feel that way after you've watched this. Here we go.
Today's video is sponsored by Built Bar, and I will be reviewing another Harper's Bazaar What I Eat in a Day by Pegan diet creator and best-selling author, Dr. Mark Hyman. But before I get into it, I want to chat about my sponsor, Built Bar. So as you guys know, I was never really into the whole protein bar thing for a really long time because I felt like most of them were basically just like less delicious chocolate bars. And I would rather have a chocolate bar than something that tasted like crap, even if it did have protein in it.
All right, so you can kind of get an idea of who Abby is, starting a video off like this with her sponsor, Built Bar, talking about how she didn't like to eat protein bars. She'd rather eat something that tasted good, like regular candy bars. Just to get you an idea of what we're working with here.
Let's dive in.
I lay in bed and I simmer. I simmer in that twilight between waking and sleeping, and I listen to what it has to tell me. I listen to the dreams that I had. I try to go back and think about them and just feel what I want. And then I meditate.
So that sounds like a really great ritual in the morning. You know, meditation is an amazing way to kick off your day. We have a lot of research to suggest that meditation can help reduce stress, anxiety, depression, and pain while improving memory and task efficiency, as well as biomedical markers like blood pressure. So I love that he's advocating for that.
So again, Abby is setting the stage of who she is, this smart person who knows the studies, who advocates for things like meditation, which is so popular to do these days. And again, Dr. Mark Hyman telling about his meditation. I'm sure you're so impressed with how they meditate and how they recommend meditation.
I first often have a green tea. I like the brown rice roasted green tea. Sometimes I'll have a coffee. If there's an espresso machine in the house, I'll definitely have that with some maybe macadamia milk.
Awesome. And I like that he switches things up too, you know? Ultimately, nothing really to comment on here because, as you know, I don't pester people about their coffee order. You drink it how you like it, and that is cool with me.
I'm with Abby here. People like their green tea. They like their coffee. Drink it if you want to. It may or may not be good for you long term, but it'll keep you hydrated. Also, I want to just point out that you can see Mark Hyman started off with this very clean diet of green tea with his macadamia nut milk. I'd probably drink mine with regular milk, but I haven't tried macadamia nut milk.
I really well understand that food is medicine, not because I learned it in medical school, but because food works to regulate every single system in your body. Your gut, your immune system, your detox system, everything.
Ugh, I hate this phrase. But I can totally see, you know, Mark reciting this mantra to himself every day while drinking his green tea, you know? Food is medicine. Food is medicine.
So this is where Abbey Sharp and Mark Hyman both really start to reveal their hands. And there is something we can learn from them. Abby does go on to say that she appreciates the nutritional value of food and that it does benefit you depending on what you eat, but she doesn't really like this idea that food is medicine.
We do not just eat for nutrients and fuel. We eat for culture, love, joy, comfort, tradition, community, religion, and so much more. This reductionist view of food also puts an overwhelming onus on the individual to maintain their own health status simply by consuming enough superfoods and avoiding all of the demonized junk.
Okay, here's where we start to get into the meat of this. Abby is bothered by this we eat kind of the purest way. We eat all these superfoods, but we avoid other things, and that health is about much more than these foods. And that's kind of where I am in agreement with her, but I used to be more in agreement with Mark Hyman. When I first discovered the world of superfoods, I really went all in, and I went to an extreme in diet in a purist way, believing that that was going to be the answer to health. And I've kind of did a full circle and realized that I agree with Abby that that's a little bit extreme. We'll get more into that in a minute.
Would you tell a person with cancer that they should just forego chemo and just eat more chia seeds? And then when they die from this suggestion, that it's their fault? No.
This is where Abby's programming really shines through. You can see that she is under some mind control from her education, which I completely support the education if you can keep yourself open a little bit to the fact that a lot of the information you get from your mainstream teaching is going to be biased according to what the medical industry would like you to believe, and they're just straight out wrong about a lot of things. But the question is, for you, really, would it be better to take chemotherapy or to try and figure out some natural way to improve your health? And I'll let you decide that for yourself.
Let's move on to Mark's medicine food.
Goat whey, which has A2 casein. I'll use sometimes a plant protein like a pea protein or hemp protein, adaptogenic mushroom. All that goes into powder in my shake. I put in green tea powder and pomegranate powder, which are great for the microbiome. I put in probiotics. I put in a little MCT oil that's great for my long bike rides and keeps me going. And I throw in some frozen fruit.
Yeah, see what I mean? Like, pack enough superfood powders into your Vitamix and you've apparently got the elixir to good health and long life.
I personally like Mark Hyman's position on goat whey or any kind of good whey because of the fact that it's a good source of protein. However, all the supplements and powders I can kind of side with Abby on.
Does this mean that these powders are useless? No, not necessarily. But in my professional opinion, we don't have any strong evidence to justify the cost. Or the taste. Ugh. I actually tried some mushroom coffee in my video right here, and it literally ruined my whole day.
So here's where I can still relate to Abby. We're talking about powders and whether they taste good or not, and if they really are backed up by science in their value as a food. And my answer to that is something like, we can really make ourselves believe that things taste good if we believe they are like a fountain of youth for us. And I have learned that just eating some very basic foods might be better than trying to get all these superfoods in especially in the forms of these powders when they're expensive.
I don't really snack because I just eat good food and I eat plenty of food. And if I do snack, I might have some macadamia nuts or I might have some almonds or I might have a piece of fruit.
So I would absolutely suggest maybe some nuts or fruit as a snack. Snack doesn't have to be a bad word. It's literally an important way to make sure that you're getting all the necessary nutrients that your body needs in a day. It's not something that we need to demonize. I get that this is kind of Mark's shtick. Like, his social media and website is also riddled with moralizing, dichotomizing, and fear-mongering language about food, health, and disease. This reductionist approach to wellness clearly appeals to a lot of people out there, but obviously is not for me.
Okay, so it's becoming kind of obvious that Mark Hyman is very purist and he's looking for the very best ingredients to put in his body, and he also uses supplements though. And apparently Abby doesn't like this. I can relate to both of them. This whole purist idea, along with supplements, it can just make eating completely unenjoyable, but yet it is very appealing because it's a purist way of eating, right? We're trying to avoid things that are bad for us. Whereas Abby is like, okay, you know what? We've got to make food taste good and we got to stop moralizing about food.
Let's see what he's having for lunch.
I had the most amazing salad. I had sunflower sprouts, arugula from the farm, cherry tomatoes. I put in toasted pumpkin seeds, watermelon radishes, and some regular radishes, extra virgin olive oil, which has oleocanthols, all these great medicines. I put in balsamic vinegar, salt and pepper. I had some smoked salmon that was wild coho salmon, a little can of mackerel.
Okay, so this fat salad does sound divine, and I imagine it is probably pretty satiating as well. So we've got loads of healthy fats and protein in the fatty fish and seeds, and lots of fiber-rich veggies. But considering what a modest breakfast he had, and that he suggested he rarely snacks between meals, I would say he could definitely stand to maybe add a little carb in the mix.
Isn't it amazing how both of these people just want to appear to be so smart? And I get it. This is what they do for a living, and this is me here talking about how smart I am, and trying to help you get some insight from seeing these two kind of very different ways of viewing nutrition and diet.
And then for dinner, I love to make a rainbow assortment of colorful fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and good quality protein. So I eat really delicious food. There's no deprivation or starvation, what I call the Pegan diet, which is basically the topic of my new book.
Okay, so now let's talk about this whole Pegan diet thing. Now, the paleo vegan diet is exactly what it sounds like, the not so loving love child of the paleo and vegan diet. In Mark Hyman's Pegan version, because this is literally a made up diet, he suggests a diet rich in low glycemic index organic veggies and fruit, nuts and seeds, and omega-3 rich low mercury fish. The diet suggests that you avoid any refined oils, food additives, sugar, gluten, dairy, and significantly limit your whole grains, legumes, and grass-fed sustainably raised meat. In other words, it's really f***ing restrictive.
So just looking at what Mark Hyman is eating here, for the most part I'm thinking, wow, this guy eats really healthy and he eats a lot of good foods. I would question whether or not the oil in any abundance, even olive oil, would be so good for you. But I get where he's coming from with this. Now, obviously, Abby is very bothered by this diet because it's restrictive, and of course, the paleo vegan thing. I was always bothered by the whole paleo idea, and I have learned, even though I was a vegan for a long time, that the whole vegan diet is just not something that I want to do anymore. And I don't think I'm ever going to change my mind about that, but hey, you know what? I'll keep my mind open. But what is even more funny is that no matter what he's doing, his bias is showing up in his way of restriction, and he's also promoting a diet that is actually not really necessarily better than other diets, but it's special because he invented it, right? And you can buy his book.
And what I think we can maybe take away that's positive from a diet pattern like Peganism is that it relies less on ultra-processed foods that are higher in saturated fat, and it focuses more on whole foods rich in unsaturated fats and fiber. But there are a lot of restrictions to try to manage here without driving yourself absolutely mad. Mark's diet feels so righteous and restrictive. Like, it reads to me like Orthorexia 101, and I'm not diagnosing him with anything, but that is my major concern with a diet pattern like this. Like, there's not a sprinkle of sugar or convenient grocery store shortcut in sight.
So again, Abby doesn't like the restrictive nature of his diet, although she believes there are some things about it that could be healthy for you. And I can agree with her based upon my years of experience of trying different ways of eating, that you got to have some flexibility. I would say, on the other hand, that there's nothing wrong with being a purist if that's what you like and you really nourish yourself well that way. And you have to ask yourself, why did you start to look at health in the beginning? Wouldn't you just not want to go back to how you originally ate? And doesn't it seem like the majority of the people in the world that get sick and unhealthy, they really have bad eating habits? So being a purist does have its benefits.
mahi-mahi, ghee, and jicama, a watermelon radish salad, incredible dressing, which had tahini and lemon juice, olive oil, little cumin, these little new potatoes, those lion's mane mushrooms, assortment of greens in the fridge, chard and kale, and I stir-fried it with the ginger. I basically had 4 or 5 different dishes, all vegetables, plus a little bit of protein.
Okay, so this does sound pretty incredible. We got some carbs in the potatoes, we got healthy fats in the tahini and olive oil, we got protein in the fish, and we've got lots of veggies in the salad and mushrooms.
So I just want to say to Abby here, how great are all of these veggies? I'm not really sure. I used to think veggies were such a great thing, and I do believe there are loads of nutrition in veggies, and I like to get a lot myself to get a wide spectrum of certain vitamins. But the question is, how much of them are actually good for you?
Occasionally, you know, I might drink a little tequila, but maybe once a week.
I mean, I can't fault the guy on a shot of liquor per week, but honestly, this is why these stupid diet rules make no sense. Tequila is often suggested as a paleo-friendly drink because it's not made from grains like gin, vodka, or whiskey are. But when you really boil it down, liquor is liquor is liquor. I'm not calling anyone out on their love of a well-made margarita, but let's get our nutrition priorities straight here, folks. I don't know about you, but I smell some major bullshit here.
So I can relate to Abby on this. Mark is a purist when it comes to what he puts in his body, yet he can still drink alcohol, and he is demonizing certain foods, but he's drinking alcohol. So let's move on.
I don't eat certain ingredients. For example, I don't eat anything that's not food. If it has weird ingredients, weird chemicals in it, if it's not actually something that nature made, I won't eat it.
Got it. Okay, but I've got some questions here for my friend Mark. Did nature make the green tea powder? What about the adaptogenic mushrooms powder?
Again, I have to go with Abby on this. I was a total purist. I believed we should only eat raw fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds for a good while. And now I don't see things that way at all anymore. I think if something is really beneficial to your health and it doesn't have too much of a negative consequence, then it's probably a good thing. Like I use some protein powder. And I do eat some sugar as well because I have relaxed. And that's what I think Abby is good for, is she's helping you to relax about food a little bit instead of taking such a purist stance on food. And for example, today, I haven't even tasted this, but I have an organic Reese's, and I'm happy, even though it has regular sugar, that I'm gonna try this, and that, you know, I'm not so worried about sugar that I can't even eat organic sugar.
I am so over this elitist anti-chemical wellness discourse. Chemicals are in everything, and natural is not always better. As an example, like here's a fun little factoid to bust out at your next Zoom dinner party. We have artificial flavors like vanilla that are made in a lab, and while they're deemed safe by the FDA, they are man-made chemicals synthesized in a lab. Meanwhile, natural vanilla extract can not only come from the vanilla bean, but also from, get ready for this folks, beaver's anal glands.
Okay, there's a little dishonesty here, but it is kind of funny that a natural vanilla flavor could come from the anal glands of a beaver. However, what she's not saying is that organic vanilla bean extractives can't come from a beaver. So my point is that, yeah, you're relying on the FDA whether something is safe or not, Abby, and the FDA is wrong about so many things that I don't think that they are very trustable on multiple levels. However, I do agree with you that we have been a little bit too concerned about what's natural and what's not, and we can lighten up about it.
If I eat comfort food, what would I eat? Once in a while, I love pasta. So I might have, lentil pasta, chickpea pasta, maybe soba noodles, buckwheat noodles, and I'll make a little pasta dish, which I really love.
Okay, so I am a huge fan of bean-based pastas because it's a great source of protein and fiber and is appropriate for those who may need to eat a gluten-free diet. But based on his own arbitrary Pegan rules, this comfort food would be a major no-no. The ingredients in banza, for example, are chickpeas, pea protein, tapioca starch, and xanthan gum. Last time I checked, all of those things are discouraged when you eat Pegan. When we put so much emphasis on eating only good food, reducing food down to medicine, or tying our identity so intimately to what we eat, we miss out on a lot of the sensual aspects of food that make it a satisfying part of our life. We make it so that if you slip up and, God forbid, eat something that cavemen didn't have access to, we become lazy, inadequate, and lacking in self-control. Friends, repeat after me. Everything can be consumed in moderation, and nutrition doesn't need to be black and white.
Have you tried consuming gasoline in moderation, Abby? So the gist of this is that you can be too restrictive in your diet choices, and it's good to be open to other things, and not everything that is natural is better for you just because it's natural, and not everything that is man-made is not necessarily good for you. So I do like this kind of openness to try things outside of where you are, and that's kind of why I made this video. I used to be very restrictive, and I could relate to somebody like Mark Hyman and anybody who was a doctor or somebody that had notoriety that really thought they had figured out the truth about nutrition. And now I realize that nutrition science is largely not understood. And there's a lack of nutrition science, as somebody by the name of Bart Kay would say, and I tend to agree with him. So you can be less restrictive. However, do you want to take it to the extreme of just going and eating everything that you're offered? I would argue that that is the road to bad health. So what do you think? I hope this video was helpful for you. If you would like to lose weight or get in great shape, I do have a book called The Healthy Fit Self Diet, and it is accompanied by my exercise program that my wife and I put together, and you can find links to those things in the bottom. Until next time, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.